Hey guys, for this week's class, this is gonna be a golf focused class. Now, before you click out of it, what we're gonna do is we're gonna work on hip internal rotation and thoracic extension and rotation. So the hip internal rotation and thoracic extension are gonna be two important components to any type of squatting, deadlifting, or any type of athletic movements we do as well. So this is something that, while it might be specific for our golfers, at the same point, will have some type of carryover into any of your athletic endeavors going forward. So the first thing we're gonna start off with is what we're gonna need this week, which is gonna be a yoga block or some type of small medicine ball or a foam roller, something that we're gonna squeeze later on in the class in between our legs. The second part is gonna be a wall for some type of end range lift off work we do in bear sit in a little bit. The first drill we perform is gonna be in supine, and it's gonna target hip internal rotation with a pails rails drill. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set up nice and wide with my feet. And now from here, I'm gonna pull one knee down towards the floor. Now, as I pull that knee down, I wanna make sure that there's no pinching on the medial side of the knee. There should also be no pinching at the top part of the hip. If there is, back off of that a little bit. So when I dip that leg down, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my opposite leg, I'm gonna use this as my pails contraction. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna use my foot, I'm gonna create a pails contraction by trying to push my knee up into my ankle of the hooked over foot. My pails contraction be pushing up, my rails contraction be trying to pull further down towards the floor. So I'm gonna start pushing up into my ankle with that knee that's internally rotated, and we're gonna push at 25% as hard as we can. So again, I'm trying to open up this knee towards the ceiling into external rotation. I'm giving equal tension with the top leg so it stays still. Now I'm gonna ramp that up to 50%. We're gonna hold there for a 20-second count. Pressing the knee up into the ankle, ankle down into the knee. Hold for 15 more seconds. Again, make sure that there's no pinching inside of that knee. Keep holding for another 8 seconds. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, freeze, rails contract. We're trying to actively pull that knee further towards the floor. I'm gonna keep bringing it down for another 8 seconds. Make sure my butt stays glued to the floor. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm gonna relax there for a couple breaths. Again, the goal here is not to have any pain on the inside part of that knee. If you do, back off of that a little bit. If you don't, just keep holding the stretch in that newly acquired position. Full inhales, full exhales, nice and relaxed. We're gonna go through 2 more breaths, and then we're gonna work through a second cycle. Now I'm gonna hook that top leg back over again in my new position. And I'm gonna start to ramp into my second cycle of pails. So again, I'm pushing the knee up into the ankle, ankle down into the knee, giving equal tension in both directions. 25%. Make sure both hips are staying down on the floor. I'm not allowing my torso or hips to come off the floor. Now I'm gonna ramp that tension up to 50%. And hold for 20 seconds. 15 more seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rails contraction, pulling that knee further towards the floor. Keep thinking of pulling it down while keeping the hip glued to the floor. Internally rotating the hip for another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax into your new position. Take a couple breaths there. Again, the key here is no pain on the inner part of the knee or the outer part of the hip, or any type of pinching at the hip for that matter. Taking nice relaxed exhales while keeping that hip glued to the floor. Hold for 2 more breaths. And now you can slowly back out of that. We're gonna do the same thing on the other leg. So again, start with the foot out nice and wide, hip is staying glued to the floor, pulling that knee inward, and then hooking the top leg over. So once I'm in that internally rotated position, I'm going to start with my Pale's contraction again. Knee up into ankle, ankle down into knee, 25%. Now I'm going to start to ramp my intensity up to 50%, knee into ankle, ankle into knee, 20% as hard as I can. I have 20 seconds, sorry. 15 more seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rails contraction. Pull that knee towards the floor. Keep thinking the knee towards floor, no pinching on the inside part of that knee. Hold for another 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax into that new position. Most of you are probably going to feel that on the outer part of the hip. Some of you might also feel it in that adductor region. Just make sure that's not a painful sensation. You should feel a muscular contraction as you work through this. Nice relaxed breathing. Gonna hold for 2 more breaths. And now we can start to ramp up our second cycle again. Foot is back on top, starting to press up into that ankle, pressing the ankle down into the knee, 25%. Now we're going to ramp it up to 50 and hold for that 20-second count. 15. 10 more seconds. Keep applying tension in both directions. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rails contraction. Pull the hip further towards the floor. Feel those muscles, the outside part of the hip and adductors kick on. Hold for another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax into the new position. Make sure the hip is staying down on the floor. Nice relaxed breathing. Take 2 more breaths. And now you can relax out of that. So again, having good ability of internally rotating the hips is going to be important for the downswing of a golf swing, especially when you get into your backswing. So being able to have clean rotation there is going to be important. And this is how we're targeting the capsule to improve that internal rotation. So now to layer that internal rotation drill we just did, we're going to layer another drill we did last week for Pale's Rails, but we're going to add an end range liftoff instead. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up in prone position. Like we did last week, where I'm focused on my belly button's going to be glued to the floor. I'm lining my leg up to a 90-degree angle, trying to close as much distance off between my adductor and the floor as possible. So I think I'm trying to push my butt towards the floor. From there, my belly button is staying glued to the floor. And now what we're going to do from an end range liftoff standpoint is I'm going to keep my knee glued to the floor. I'm going to try to lift my foot up as high as I can. I'm getting clean rotation at the femur without allowing my body to compensate. So foot is starting on the floor. I'm making a pillow with my fingers on my forehead. And now I'm going to lift the foot up as high as I can. We're going to hold that for a 10-second count, trying to touch the ceiling. Hold for another 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come back down. Try to drive that hip down towards the floor even more. Think of trying to extend the hip, squeezing your butt forward. And we're going to do 2 more reps like that on this side. Squeezing the butt down, lifting the foot towards the ceiling, and hold for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back down. I'm going to do 1 last rep, resetting my hip down towards the floor, squeezing, lifting up, hold. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax down nice and slow. So after doing that pals, rails contraction, you should feel cleaner rotation at that hip as you perform this. Now I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And going through the coaching cues again quick. Lining up 90-degree angle with the hip, knee, and ankle. Trying to push the hip down towards the floor as much as possible. And setting up my forehead on my fingers again. Now from there, I'm squeezing the butt down towards the floor. Gonna lift that foot up as high as I can. And hold for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Coming back down. We're going to do 2 more rotations like that. Squeezing the butt towards the floor, lifting back up, getting clean rotation at the hip. Again, focus on the inside of the knee, not feeling any pain. Keep holding for another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back down. 1 final rep. Driving the hips down towards the floor. Cleanly rotating through the femur. Lift up. Hold. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Controlling back down. And then relax. And again, we're taking a static movement, trying to make it more dynamic, allowing for cleaner rotation of that femur back and forth into internal rotation. So now we're going to shift our attention away from the hips, and we're going to focus more on the upper back in our bear sit position. And this is where we're going to need a wall. And you can also use your yoga block here as well, or your foam roller, medicine ball, whatever you have access to. So before we go to the wall, just a quick review on bear sit. When I set bear sit up, I'm going to go ankle and knee are going to be in a straight line with one another. And I'm going to try to pull my belly button over my chest as much as I can. Okay, so I'm trying to avoid the knees coming in like this, like a butterfly position. And then again, trying to avoid rounding of the spine, which is actually what we're going to work on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my tailbone on the wall. I'm going to get my feet as close as possible, but also staying in a relatively comfortable position. Make sure there's no pinching on the hip or knee like we mentioned earlier with the IR work. From here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to do an end range lift off the wall, meaning getting thoracic extension of every part, every vertebrae, peeling it off of the wall. So we get my hands out in front, and then from here, I'm going to try to peel off and hold. I'm pulling my knees towards my chest, trying to get my upper back off of the wall for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to lean back and relax for a second, take a full breath. We'll do 2 more reps like that. As I do that, I'm thinking of trying to pull my belly button forward as well, getting as much extension as I can from the rib cage up. Squeezing the roller, the block, going to lift up and hold. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax back onto the wall. Take a full breath. We're gonna work through that one more time, and this is one I struggle with. I'm fighting to try to pull everything forward and not tipping the pelvis under, okay? One last rep. Crush your block. Pull off of that wall, chest is up tall, keep spreading the knees out. Hold. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax back onto the wall, and you can slowly relax out of that position. So if you're someone that struggles with getting good thoracic extension, whether it's at the top of a backswing or even in a squat like this closely resembles, this is something that you should be practicing, and you should really feel in that upper back, and you might also get some deep into hip flexors as well. Now, to further layer extension of the thoracic spine, we're also going to incorporate a component of rotation as well. So again, coming back to a golf swing, you need to be able to extend and rotate the spine to get into an effective backswing, which will help translate into power on that downswing as well. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use the block as a pillow, and I'm going to set up in a bretzel position, a little bit of a modified position though. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to face the camera, and now what I'm going to do is bend my knees up towards a 90-degree angle, and I'm going to set my head on that yoga block. From here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my top hand, I'm going to hold onto my knees with it, and then from here, I'm just going to try to rotate my logo on my shirt towards the ceiling. So I'm trying to create as much separation from my top shoulder from my knees as possible. When I'm here, I shouldn't feel anything in my lower back. I might get a little bit of a stretch in the hip, but I'm also trying to focus on feeling it in my upper back as well, a little bit of a stretch sensation. From here, my pales contraction will be me trying to push my knees up towards the ceiling, giving equal tension with the hand. My rails contraction will be me trying to further rotate the upper back while driving the knees down towards the floor. So pales pushing up, rails rotating and driving the knees down. We're going to work through our contractions the same way as we did with that hip internal rotation. We're going to start ramping up at 25%, pushing the knees up into the hand. Nice relaxed breathing as we go through this. Now we're going to ramp that up to 50%, hold for 20 seconds. Trying to press the knee up into the hand, hand up into the knee. 15 more seconds. 10. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rails contraction. Trying to push the knees down now as I rotate the shoulder and head towards the floor more. Hold for another 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax into that new position. Full inhales. Full exhales. And again, as you hold this, the goal is to create as much separation between the knee and the top shoulder as possible, as long as there's no pain in that position. Use that block for the pillow just so you're not putting extra tension on your neck and holding like this. And then hold for one more breath before we start a second cycle up. Now I'm going to start to press the knee back up into the hand, holding my position, pressing at 25%. I'm going to ramp that up to 50%, trying to push the knee up into the hand towards the ceiling. Hand is pushing down against it. Keep holding for 15 more seconds. 10 more seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rails contraction. Push the knees towards the floor. Try to rotate that upper back down towards the floor as well. Hold for another 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax into your new position. Hold for 2 more breaths. And then relax out of that. Now, so you can see from the back side as well, I'm just going to shift over and perform the same thing on my opposite side. So 90-degree angle again with the knees. Rotating the top shoulder towards the floor. Might get a little bit of a stretch on the outer hip and the upper back. And once I get to this position, I'm going to start with my pales contraction. Pushing the knee up into the hand, hand down into the knee. Now we're going to ramp that up to that 50% contraction. Hold for 20 seconds. Ten more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Push the knees down. Try to rotate the upper back more. Hold for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax for a few breaths before we go through cycle number 2. Take 2 more breaths. Now we're going to start our second cycle of pales, pushing the knee up into the hand, hand down into the knee, 25%. %, and hold for 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rotating your upper back towards the floor more, pushing the knees together. Hold for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax for a few breaths there. Hold for 2 more breaths. And now you can relax out of that. So again, adding a component rotation on top of the extension we were working on, trying to learn how to develop better isometric strength there. So the final drill for this class is going to be taking our thoracic rotation out and making it a little bit more dynamic. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set up in a tall kneeling position with this foam roller between my the yoga block between my legs. And what that's going to look like from the side is I'm going to set the block up. I'm going to try to squeeze my butt forward. Then what we're going to do from this position is I'm going to hold my hands across my shoulders. So this is a drill we've done in the past. I'm going to do it facing the camera. And now what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to turn it inward. I'm going to get my knees nice and close together. I'm going to crush that block. Okay, what I'm trying to do here is prevent any rotation at the hips. From there, I'm also squeezing my butt forward to really lock the hips into place. And we're just going to work through 5 really slow thoracic rotations in both directions here. My belly button's going to be facing the camera as I turn, and I'm squeezing that block so I don't get any rotation from anything but that spine. I'm going to come back to center. I'm just going to go back and forth, really fighting to keep the hips still the entire time. Whole time, belly button's facing forward. I'm just trying to isolate that upper back as I rotate. 5 super slow reps. You should really start to feel contraction in that upper back. The whole time squeezing your yoga block, roller, med ball, whatever you have access to. We go for 3 more reps in each direction. Try to get a little bit more with each rep. And as I do that, my head is staying in between my elbows as I try to keep my belly button facing straight forward. Right now, my glutes and my adductors are on fire from squeezing this block. Nice, slow reps. We go for 1 more in each direction. Last one right here. And then relax. So like I said, this does have a golf focus to it, but if you think about it, whether you're lifting or any type of rotational athlete, all of these drills we did are gonna have some type of benefit to whatever drills you're performing going forward. So if you have any questions about this, let us know. We'll be more than happy to answer any feedback you might have, questions, problems you're dealing with. And if you want to see something in one of these classes, let us know. We'll be able to incorporate it in going forward.